Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is another paid request, this time for Matthew. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos or topics or reviews or commentaries or randomness, whatever, feel free to send them either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now this is for something called Dark Days, which I didn't know what it was at first. I thought, oh, what is this? Sounds like a crappy horror film. It's a 2000 documentary directed by Mark Senior. And no, not Senior, not the Beastmaster, not this Mark Senior. No, not this guy. This is a guy who came to New York, learned about the underground tunnel system in New York, and this underground environment where a lot of people were living. And I believe he lived with them for around 2 years, give or take, and bonded with these guys and decided to make this documentary, hopefully to help them out. It was done in 16mm black and white, and I really enjoyed this. This was a really fascinating, interesting, only an hour and 20 some minutes journey where you get to meet these characters who, I mean, they're real people, but they do have a affable, fun, at times heartbreaking vibe about them. Whether it be the character Ralph, I keep saying character, but they're real people. Ralph or Greg or Dee, and it just, you learn about how they got there. Some of them have been there for 5 years, some for 15 years. And some of them have tragic backstories that just break your heart. And how they kind of manage to live there in this environment, in this other world under the tunnels of New York. And the way it's shot with the 16mm, with the black and white, gave it a nice moody, almost like these characters are in hell, but they're just living like any of us would. You know, they're able to tap into the power and they don't have to pay anything. They find stuff like coffee pots and use them and cook in hot pans, and they kind of bond with each other as a family, and they I really grew to like a lot of these guys and gals, and like rooted for them. And it's not as depressing as it sounds, because the ending, I'll get to that, there's leaves it with a sense of hope. So it's not just a depressing mood killer. It's not. It's just, you know, these are people who fell into hard times, but they're taking it day by day. And you have this one guy that goes from the streets into the tunnels, and one of the reasons he says is that it's a bit safer down here. Because if you just sleep on the street or on a bench, someone could come up and knock you in the head. But you go in the tunnels, other people don't be too scared to go in these tunnels. The people I looked to more were two people, Greg and Ralph. Greg, the way he talks and just how affable and energetic he is. He's like, man, at first I took a light camp for 2 weeks. And then this fucker became like home, you know, building stuff and shit. Man, been like 5, 6 years now. And then it tells about how they make money, whether finding stuff like CDs, because this was 2000 at the time when people had CDs and used them. So find CDs, or one guy tells a story about how he found all this porn and sold it, and boom, people came just like, well, not that kind of came. They just boom bought it just like that. Or they find stuff in the garbage to sell, books and stuff, cans. You know, they, on a good day, with cans, they can make $70, and like how day to day they live and the slice of life of it, and live in these tunnels, how, battling with rats and the stories they tell and the pets. Like this one guy takes care of these dogs that were left behind and finds what he can to feed them and take care of them. And this one guy, Ralph, has his dog, is like, man, this dog, you know, I found him and got him because, someone came in and took my stuff. But man, this motherfucker bites. This motherfucker bites, and he's always going for the hand. Gray's a nice dog to him, but he's like, he's going for my motherfucking hand. And how did he word it? He always goes for a hand. He don't bullshit, bro. He don't bullshit, bro. And that's for me. I started to really like him and then feel bad. But it's just, you get some nice philosophy. If you don't consider yourself homeless, then you ain't ready to cope with this yet. Okay? See, you're not here to make you not think you're homeless. You're here to make you think you're not helpless. You're still homeless. You're living here. You're just not helpless. And yeah, if you're not going to consider yourself homeless at this point, you ain't ready to cope with this shit yet. Apparently my neighbor's rooster is like, yeah, I agree. This rocks. Because I really did like this. I really enjoyed this documentary. And the way a lot of them, not all of them, a lot of them is not give up mentality to it. And collect the cans and some tragic backstory. If my neighbor's roosters would shut up, I could discuss it. But the Ralph guy who really started to like, he tells about how he got off crack because crack is how he got homeless in the first place. And he tells this just heartbreaking tale of he was in jail and he had a daughter. And when he was in jail, he found out his daughter of 5 years old was raped, had an arm cut off, and a leg cut off. And he feels guilty about it because he wasn't there. And it's my fault because I should have been there. But instead I was in jail for this crack bullshit. At the end of the credit, I let him the, desperation robbing. And he feels, bad about it, guilty of it. Your heart breaks for the person. Or this other lady, Dee, about how she lost 2 kids in the fire. And she's like, why couldn't it be me? Why couldn't it be me? And you really I didn't feel for the people. And there's also levity and fun in there. Like the two arguing over this cup. It's like, why'd you take my cup? What are you doing leaving a cup here? You got rats and stuff. You wouldn't do that to your wife. Yeah, because we don't have rats here. Then what about your dog? He's outside. He's outside. See, if he was inside, there'd be no, the rats wouldn't be here. But he's outside, so the rats ran in the other way. And like I said, it was a really interesting, fascinating documentary to watch. And to go on to spoilers, I recommend this. And yeah, if you think it sounds, yes, there's sad stuff in it, but it's a very... I'd never heard of this documentary before, but I truly recommend, I really enjoyed it that much because of not just the way it's shot, down and dirty, independent, the look, the 60 millimeter, it really brought a great look to it. But yeah, you really start to like and feel for these people, and there's fun levity and humor, and it's very interesting to see their world, to see how, despite where they are, despite being all the way down here, they're still able to sustain and not feel helpless, and for the most part, for most of them, make some type of life. And spoilers, in the third act, pretty much Amtrak and the police because Amtrak wants to build some more shit there, they're making the people leave and forcing them out. Of course, they're upset about it because, we've been here for 5 or 10 years and they want to kick us out, and I ain't going to no shelter. There's drug people, more drug people in there, and I'm not going to go to no shelter. And pretty much it's 30 days to leave or they're going to be forced out. But there is a rainbow at the end, which was nice, and it was nice to see, where the Section 8 housing program, where, you break this stuff down, they break down their huts and their houses that they built, and they're almost joyful in doing it because they're starting to realize that this could be a big change, and you see some of these people in a new apartment above ground, and I think it was Ralph who says, yeah, I think about it, that was like a nightmare, and I woke up from it, and I don't ever want to be homeless again. And there's at least a little bit of hope. And this is 2000. I read up on an article in 2011. Not all, but a lot of them are doing well. Like the Ralph guy, he worked at a hotel for many years and found a girl, got married, got his own business. A lot of them some of them moved to Alaska and dealt with fishing. And there's this one guy who left when he was 16 years old because his parents were abusive. But apparently later on in life, he was able to reconnect with his parents and work things out. And so it's kind of nice. It'd be interesting. I mean, but sadly, this is a documentary. I guarantee you, no one watched this who do click on it. They're like, what the hell is this? I've never heard of it. And again, they don't think it's some horror film about monsters in the tunnels. And it's much better than that. And yeah, it's a very interesting, fascinating slice of life about people at the lowest. And what I mean by that is, not having a home, making a living, doing what they can to survive day by day, and still be able to be affable and have certain levity and work together. And there's hard times, there's funny times, and then again there's a nice hopeful moment at the end, which just left a smile on my face. And that's not too bad to have in this day and age. If you like documentaries, and even if you don't, I highly recommend Dark Days. It's just, I can't explain, but it really made me smile by the end of it. I really did like it. And kudos to Mark Singer. And not the Beastmaster, it's a different Mark Singer, for doing that and for making it. And maybe in a way, him doing this helped these people out. And that's better than what a lot of documentaries have done and would do. That perhaps that helped change the life of a lot of people for the better. And, it's more worthwhile than something like fucking Super Size Me. A documentary that gets all the fucking kudos and all the fucking credit and all the fucking praise and all the fucking... Like, people have heard of Super Size Me. Even if you've never seen it, you've heard of the documentary Super Size Me. Or some of the later Michael Moore films. But this is a film no one's really heard of, and it's pretty damn good. This was a pleasant surprise. So, with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. And I will put up there one of the best documentaries I've seen. I really do believe that. I really enjoyed it. With that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.